You're not losing sales because you're lazy. You're losing sales because your habits stop working the moment that you do. The word habit has gotten a bad rap. We think of nail biting, procrastinating, or overeating. But in reality, habits are just repeated behaviors that become effortless, whether they help us or they hurt us. Habits don't care if they serve you or if they sabotage you. They just run right behind the scenes of your mind and they play what you've rehearsed over and over and over again. Now, top performers in every field, whether it's sales, sports, leadership, they don't wait for motivation to come. They build better habits. When your habits are right, success becomes your default setting, not an occasional event. So let me show you the 7 sales habits that turn inconsistency into confidence and make greatness automatic. Habit number 1 is daily preparation. You win the day before it starts. In sales, amateurs will wing it, but professionals, they rehearse everything. They leave nothing to chance. See, preparation is the foundation that precedes performance. The best sales reps review their pipeline, set targets, and mentally rehearse before the day ever begins. They start seeing what's on their schedule and they start to have those conversations in their mind. They know sales don't start on the call. They start in their mental state. Metrics aren't just data. They are feedback loops for focus. Without a scorecard, you're guessing on where you need to improve or where you think you're doing it right. And guessing is not a professional habit. See, certainty begins before the prospect ever picks up on the phone on the other end. Because if you think about it, certainty has to start from you. If sales is the transference of the emotion of certainty, and it is, the only place your prospect can get certainty from is from you. So you have to anchor your day with routines. Maybe it's breath work, visualization, mini rehearsals, role playing. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your lack of preparation. Before any big sales meeting, before I know I'm going to have an important conversation, I have a very simple ritual. It's a habit. I don't go out the night before. I stay in. I review the notes from our last call. I write out the objections that I might hear, and I rehearse how I want to show up, what my tonality is going to be, my posture, my energy. See, when I do that, I walk in clear, grounded, and with certainty. And I almost always close those deals. So stop entertaining sales conversations in a reactionary mode. Start by owning your own rhythm, controlling the conversation before the world steals all of your focus and your attention away. Habit number 2, you've got to learn to ask better questions so it becomes automatic. You want to become the inquisitor general. See, great salespeople don't interrogate people, they investigate. They uncover emotion, not just data points. So what made you start looking? Reveals their urgency. What happens if nothing changes? Activates tension. See, these aren't scripts. They're lenses that change your entire perspective of the sales interaction. See, the right question also changes how the buyer sees their problem. You're not changing their answer. You're changing their awareness by the quality of the questions you ask. Socrates said that the quality of the questions you ask determine the quality of your outcomes. See, when curiosity becomes your habit, pressure disappears. See, you're no longer trying to convince someone. You're guiding the conversation to clarity and certainty. Most objections aren't resistance. They're smokescreens for uncertainty. They're signs that you didn't go deep enough early in the conversation to make this prospect feel certain that you are the best person to solve their problem. I remember one deal, $25,000 close. That turned on a single question I asked a prospect. Here was, what happens if your team, if this problem doesn't get solved? What happens with your team if this problem doesn't get solved? They paused, thought about it. I've never thought of that. I've never thought of that consequence. See, that's when everything shifted. It wasn't about price anymore. It was about what was at stake. That wasn't in their mind. That wasn't in their field of awareness. Remember, you're not paid for the answers you give. You're paid for the awareness your questions create. Habit number 3, to develop your ability to communicate with clarity, not trying to be clever. See, sales is, again, it's the transference of the emotion of certainty, and certainty can't travel through confusion or chaos. Top performers, they're not trying to sound smart. They're trying to sound clear, concise. Never trying to be clever or manipulative language, because all that does is create doubt. Clarity, certainty creates and fosters an environment of safety for the buyer. Tonality and silence are powerful tools that can build massive emotional certainty in a prospect. When you use these two, well, your voice becomes a guide rather than a source of doubt. Great communicators don't talk their way into a close. They position themselves as an expert right from the opening moment, as an authority. Your voice should do one thing: make the buyer feel safer with you than without you. Now, before I go any further, I want you to make sure that you grab the Martinelli Sales Method mini course. It's a free course that I created that's going to walk you through the exact strategies that I use to overcome the 5 biggest sales challenges holding every salesperson back. If you have ever struggled with following up without sounding pushy, handling objections with confidence, creating trust in those first 30 seconds of a call, this mini course is for you. And it won't take you long to learn these techniques. It includes actual phrasing, frameworks, and mini trainings that you can do right now as little daily drills. And it's designed to help you turn your habits into high-performance systems. Now, the link is in the description below. Go and grab it now. And I want you to come right back here. Now, here's the 4th habit. Make sure your follow-up is part of your system. So many salespeople use it as, a rainy day activity, as an afterthought. Most reps stop after 2 touch points with the prospect. But most sales are made between 5 and 12 steps. So follow-up is not pestering somebody. It's proof of your belief in what you have to offer and your ability to solve their problem. When follow-up is emotional, it feels like rejection. When it's structured, it feels like rhythm. The best reps don't follow up to get a yes. They follow up to hold space for a decision, to retain rapport. Using your CRM, using pre-written templates. When these are automated, you're free to focus on connection, not trying to remember the next thing to do. Every touch point is a chance to prove consistency, and consistency is what builds trust. Habit number 5, develop emotional mastery. All sales are done through emotion. People buy on emotion, and they justify their emotional decisions with logic and data. So learn to lead from alignment rather than anxiety. Sales is an emotional game, but top performers don't live at the mercy of their emotions or their moods. Emotional mastery means that you decide your state before the call, not during it. Your breath, movement, language patterns, questions, these aren't kind of woo-woo tricks. They're tools of conditioning for certainty. You can't lead a buyer through fear if you're lost in your own reaction or your own fear of blowing the deal. Remember that rejection is never personal. It's simply a data point. That's all it is. The moment you stop taking it personally, your posture stabilizes and you're able to take the learning and apply it to get better. You enter into that feedback loop. Habit number 6 is about becoming a lifelong learner. Look, either you grow or you plateau. You either move forward or backwards. There is no such thing as inertia. The market is always evolving. Buyers are evolving. Buyers' needs are evolving. And you must too. The best salespeople don't just study their product. They study psychology, they study influence, language, leadership. See, learning isn't when, I have time. It's not when I have time habit. It's a daily priority. 10 minutes a day beats 4 hours once a quarter. Growth begins to compound one small insight, one expansion of your awareness, and each day becomes mastery over time. Sales is a craft. It's an art. You can't improve what you don't evaluate. So you want to review your calls. You want to reflect. You want to role play. The reps who stop learning start coasting. And coasting always is a downhill activity. Here's the last one. Habit number 7. Serve before you sell. Serve before you sell. I know it sounds cliche-ish, but the best reps aren't pitching. They're solving problems. Sales isn't manipulation. It's filling the gap of really felt needs. It's aligning problems with solutions. And when you lead with service, trust accelerates. See, buyers can smell commission breath, okay? But they can also feel when you genuinely care. You want to be genuine and strategic. When service is your default, selling doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like clarity and certainty. Don't try to be liked. Try to be useful. That's how rapport becomes real. Sales isn't about closing every single deal. It really isn't. It's not about walking in thinking ABC, always be closing. It's about creating certainty. It's about creating safety. Lead with service, and the sale becomes inevitable. Now look, you're not stuck because you're unmotivated or because you don't have desire or you're not hungry. You're stuck because your system doesn't support your success. Habits are the default setting of your identity, and identity always wins in the long run. Build better defaults so you don't have to force excellence. It will just flow from you naturally. Now, if any of this has landed on you, I want you to grab the free Martinelli Sales Method mini course. It breaks down the exact phrasing, mindset shifts, and frameworks to embed these 7 habits for good. And then I want you to come right back and I want you to watch the next video, how to grow your business and sales faster, so that you can take what you've learned today and implement it at an even higher level. I'll see you there.